Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be with you and talk to you about the stories of the prophets and the Quran. In fact, we are continuing our discussion on this subject. Previously, we talked on Adam, we talked on Abraham, or let's say in Arabic, Adam and Ibrahim in the Quran. And also, we mentioned a whole kind of a most general history and the way that a sacred history is projected in the Quran. And now the latest story was the story of Abraham, which I mean, we very briefly mentioned that. And now we are going to talk a little bit about Moses, or as Quran described him, Musa, or Mashiach, or in fact Musa in the Quran. So one of the prophets of the Israelites, whose name was is a name that the most repeated one, and a prophet that who is most talked about in the Quran is, in fact, Moses. Um, we know approximately, but Quran doesn't mention history or any date. But we know that he probably lived 1400 years before Jesus Christ. And however, some claim that there are no independent archaeological evidence. However, some other find it. But some also claim that it cannot be matched to the Egyptian sources. Um, but scholarly views place the origin of the story from 10th to 7th century. Um, so the point is that the as we talk about the Quran, the point in the Quran is that when you talk about when this revelation, according to Muslims, talk about history and historical figure, it doesn't care when they were living. It cares about what they said or what they did. And that's the most important thing for a book like Quran and talking of those things. So we know that in the Old Testament, there are details of the life of Moses are given. Starting from his birth, you do have also Quran speaking of the time that Pharaoh or Pharaoh in Arabic was killing male children, male babies, because of a dream that he saw that someone will come and overthrow him. So he decided to kill kids. And Moses was born the same year, but his mom, according to Quran, based on a revelation, they took the baby in a basket, put in the river, and the baby went. So the point was that the baby later on was took by wife of Pharaoh, or according to some the sister, I guess his daughter, but Quran talks about the wife. So it was taken talking to, she was talking to Pharaoh that, oh, this baby, we may have it as our son. And, so all these things, the story indicates that while Pharaoh was trying to escape a mapping or a response that God provided for him, unknowingly he was the one who brought the baby inside his home and helped him to grow up. So it shows for a reader in Islamic tradition, it shows that, well, whatever you may probably, or tyrants may probably wants to decide some everything for themselves, but there is a someone or there is a God whose planning is much more complicated and you know wiser than those their plans. So this is one thing that is reflected in the history of Islam as well. So Moses grows up in his in Pharaoh's home, and there are many stories going on during his younghood, and he has to escape to Canaan, and he meets with another prophet over there. His name is Shu'aib, and then he marries with the daughter of Shu'aib, and then he lies there, and then based on a kind of revelation from God, he goes back to Egypt in order to talk to Pharaoh. But there's one thing: the Quran says when God asks uh, Moses to go to Egypt and talk to Pharaoh, Moses asked God, "Could you send my brother Aaron or Harun with me, because he speaks better than me, and so he could be my, like assistant." In Arabic term, he calls my vizier or wazir, uh, and then God accepts. Uh, But Moses and then praised her, Rabbi shrah li sadri. God, help me to be patient, and Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri, and make this easy for me, and make him to understand what I'm telling him. There's one thing. The second thing, God tells them, speak to him in a soft language. So this is another thing that's, I mean, goes the conversation between Moses and God. Now, there's one element about Moses in the Quran, which, as we mentioned before, that every prophet was kind of having a certain characteristic in the Quran. As we mentioned about Abraham, he was given the title of uh, uh, Khalilur Rahman, or the a friend of God, and uh, Moses as well is also called Kalimullah, or the one who talked with God, or the one who talks with God in a direct way. And Quran mentions many of the incidents in which Moses and God are in conversation. So that's why Moses is entitled in the Quran as Kalimullah, the one who talks with God. And then sometimes uh, Jews in Arabic culture are also called Kalimi, so the one who are the uh, community or followers of the Moses who was talking with God. When Moses talks to Pharaoh in the Quranic basis, he invites him to the real God, because Pharaoh is at the same time talks. I mean, he was telling to people that first of all, I am God. Second, he was a kind of captured or took the control of all Israelites and was making their life very hard, and so um, Moses asking Pharaoh to release those people, free those people, let them come with me. This is another thing. And then the response of Pharaoh is that, well, I am the God. I mean, and I'm not going to release those people. And Moses, and then when they converse and talk about with God, and Moses says that, well, my God can give is the one who gives life and takes lives, and then Pharaoh also says that, yes, I can give life and take life as well. So he has to bring two individuals from jail, and then free one of them and orders to kill the other one. And then Moses tells him that, well, my God can bring the sun from the east, and you know, sun rises by order of my God. Sun rises from the east and downs from the west. If you want, you can make it the other way around. So here, I mean, the discussion and debate doesn't help, and then those two go to other stages. One of the things that during the Quran tells us about the time that Moses has lived is that those sort of sciences. Egypt is full of kind of medicine, full of kind of magic, and all those kind of sciences are probably occult sciences. You do know that I mean, the remaining of the old Egyptian empires and pyramids and everything over there shows that there is going on something going on, at least scientifically, according to the standards of those times. So God provides, according to Quran, things for Moses, who to be able to overcome that science and that technology that they had. So the magic is one of them. I mean, God, I mean, I'm sorry, Moses and, Pharaoh, Pharaoh probably thinks that Moses is also gaining the knowledge of those, you know, the magic knowledge, because Moses shows some of the miracles that, God gave him. And then Pharaoh asked the best of the Egyptian magics or magicians to come and in a field in front of the eyes of other people to compete with Moses. So the best of the magicians come, and there's a, and one day everyone also there, and they ask Moses. Pharaoh asked those magicians to overcome to Moses, and they ask what we will have if we do this. If we do so, and Pharaoh says that I give you power, I give you money, and things like that. If you do so, so in their confrontation with Moses, um, they ask Moses, "Do you want to start, or uh, do you want us to start, or you start?" Moses tells them that you can start with your magic, and they probably provide whatever they had, kind of making something like huge snakes or whatever out of the stuff they had. But at the same time, probably Quran tells us that there was Moses inspired by God, just throw out your stake, and then his stake becomes at once like a huge um, animal or huge snake, and it's all other snakes. So the point is that at that time, all those magicians, they understand that the uh, the Moses magic is not the kind of a magic that they do, because they knew that this is not gonna happen with the magic that they do. So they become like followers of Moses, and then Pharaoh becomes too upset and asks, his people to kill those magicians. And those magicians, they're not going to. They're not going to you know say that, okay, we reject Moses, but they will, uh, uh, followed Moses, and even they died in the past of the God of the Moses. So finally, Moses is able to take those Israelites out of uh, Egypt, and then we know that the same story also as mentioned in the uh, Old Testament, also in the Quran, that he passes his people, Israelite people, through the Nile, and again, God asked him when they reach the Nile. It's the night; they are escaping from the city, and they reach the Nile and they have to pass it, and they don't have anything to pass through. So God orders Moses to, put your stick on the shore of the Nile, and the Nile, the water or the river just kinds of opens off as a pass, and people can just go inside and move toward the other shore. And then that's the moment that also Pharaoh and his army are coming for Moses and his and Israelite people. And then the Quran is a story is that like the very last people who left the other side of the river, Pharaoh and all his army are inside the river, and then river start to follow and follow, and uh, Pharaoh and all his people, his army, are gonna sink and die. And the Quran describes the very last moment of Pharaoh, that at that moment he says that, oh, now I believe in the God of Moses, and his the reality of it. So, but we don't know, if his, you know, if what happens. There was this kind of discussions or debates whether Farhan was a believer at the end, or he just said something at the very last moment that was not helpful. Now, when Moses passes and when they go to the other side, um, there's a 40 years of wilderness because of some probably sins. One of the sins is that when Moses went to the up on the mountain to get the Ten Commandments, there was someone whose name in the Quran is Samiri, and he took a little bit of the soil on which Gabriel stepped, and then he took those soil and he added goals taken from people. He made a car, and then the car, when there was a wind, the car was making some kind of the noise and sound. And then he asked people to, this is your God you're worshiping. So people tried to stop, followed him in worshiping the car. And then it was while Moses' brother Aaron was among them, and Aaron tried to tell people to avoid this worshiping Ka, and they didn't accept. And then Moses comes back, and he's upset with seeing what people are doing, and then that results in wilderness for 40 years in the desert for them. And then finally, they probably had to make into the Jerusalem or Palestine. Uh, one of the stories that Quran talks about when Moses is mentioned in the Quran, let me tell you that this is probably 69 times that Moses' name is repeated in the Quran. Um, uh, there is um, there is one thing that you can find uh, in the Quran, in kind of sort of detail story, but it is not probably in by that clear picture in the Old Testament. Uh, this is a meeting between Moses and someone else that most commentators they say that he was Khizr or the Green Prophet. The Green Prophet is the one who lived so long time, and he who is um, a prophet. But I'll tell you which kind of prophet in a minute. But the fact is that Moses is looking to find someone who is more knowledgeable than himself. And then God guides him to meet with this guy who is called Khizr. In the chapter 18, Quran talks about that meeting. It's a strange enough. I mean, it's the point is that Moses is a prophet and he's supposed to know many things. But when he encounters this other prophet, he knows that, oh, there are some, you know, difficulties, some problems here that he doesn't know. I mean, he asked God to help him to find someone who is more knowledgeable than him, and God, guides Moses to this guy, to Khazar, and then Khazar tells him that Moses, the Quran reads as, and I'm quoting, Moses and probably his brother. Then they found one of our servants, whom we had granted a mercy from ourselves, and taught him a knowledge from our own. Moses said to him, "May I follow you for the purpose that you teach me some of the probity you have been taught?" He said, "Indeed, you cannot have patience with me." Now, so the point is that the sort of knowledge that this Khizr has is the sort of knowledge that even Moses cannot bear with. You cannot be patient with. You can be why in Islamic Sufism and mysticism, Khizr is described as a prophet of the inward reality or the secrets or the mysteries of the world, while Moses is also described as a prophet of the outward world, the outward realm, the outward rules. But Khizr, on the other hand, knows the inward rules, knows the secretive part of this everything. So the things that Moses and Khazar are doing are kind of two opposite way of thinking. So if we read through these verses, we can see that first of all, Khazar told him, because one thing is that God tells in the Quran that I taught Khazar. This is one. And then this is one of the basic notions that Sufism in Islam tries to say, that there are categories of knowledges, and based on those categories, um, you cannot only say that there is only the outward knowledge, or the, you know, you cannot also mean that only only the appearance of the book is the, probably the only meaning of the book and the Quran, and but there are other inner, inward, mysterious, secretive meanings in the Quran that one need to, purify his soul in order to understand those, and in order to go back to God. Now, Khizr, in this sense, is the one of the people or prophets who are going to help people who want to strive in the path of God. I mean, in a way that they want to purify their soul and they want to encounter their God. They want to, complete their mission as human being in going back to God. Now, first, why? One question is that why um, Khazar tells Moses that you cannot bear with me, you cannot be patient with me, because he knows that he knew something deeper, probably, or another reality is that Moses is not, the mission of Moses is not in that real. And then in continuation, what Moses says, he said, indeed, you cannot have patience with me, and how can you have patience about something you do not comprehend? So the Zahiri, the one who is the prophet of the outward, is not comprehending what the prophet of inward knows. And then discussion is continuous. As he said, Moses, you will find me, God willing, to be patient, and I will not disobey you in any matter. So, so Moses knows that probably he needs to be just a follower and not debating anything with Khadr. But let's see. He said, "If you follow me, you do not question me concerning anything until I myself first mention it for you. So no question if you want to follow me." So they went on, and when they boarded the boat, uh, when they, boarded the boat, he made a hole in it. He said, "Did you make a hole into in it to drown its people? You have certainly done a monstrous thing." So this is the Moses talking to Khizr. Why? I mean, so this is a bad thing. That was not ours, and then you are making a hole. Do you want to kill people? And then he said, "Did I not say that you cannot have patience with me?" He said, "Oh, do not take me to ask for my forgetting, and do not be hard upon me." So they went on until they came upon a boy, whereat he slew him. Oh, he killed him. He said, "Did you kill an innocent soul without, anyone?" He said, "He have certainly done a dire thing. I mean, you have." Again, Moses said that this is, I mean, unacceptable, unbelievable. You are killing people. You killed this boy. How come? So the other thing was that they go follow, and then they meet that boy, and then he kills the boy, and Moses again asks, "Oh, did you kill him? You did a very bad thing. How come?" Then Khidr repeats his warning again. They said that I told you that you are not patient enough. You are you are unable to follow me, and so go. But Moses again, insists. If I question it again one more time, I accept. I won't follow you if I repeat this again. So forgive me, and let's go on. And again, chapter 18, chapter Al-Kahf again talks about Moses and Khizr's journey. And then he says that, so they went on till they came upon a people of a town and sought food from them, but they refused to show them any hospitality. Then they found therein a wall that was about to fall down. So he set it up straight. He said, did you build? You could have taken a wage for it, but you built a wall for them without asking. I mean, they didn't give them food, and he's building their wall. Now, so what Huzur says that he said, this is the parting between you and me. I shall inform you of the meaning of that which you couldn't bear patiently. So this point is, so we are going to separate. We are going to everyone go his own way. But let me tell you why I did those things. This is so. This gives us also, um, you know, kind of what a messenger of the inward means. So he tells. So he says that as for the ship, it belonged to indigenous people who walked the sea. Uh, I desired to damage it, for just beyond them was a king who was seizing every ship by force. So he helped them by sinking the ship down to the water, the ship to be saved and not seized by the king. This is one of the secrets he reveals. And then, as for the young boy, his parents were believers, and we feared that he would make them suffer much through rebellion and disbelief. So I have kind of, you know, authority to kill him. And so we desired that their Lord give them in exchange one kid, one child, who is better than him in purity and nearer to mercy. This is the second thing that. And as far as the wall, it belonged to two orphan boys in the city, and beneath it was a treasure belonging to them. So their father was righteous, and they Lord and your Lord desired that they should reach their maturity and extract their treasure as a mercy from your Lord. And I did not do this upon my own command. This is the meaning of which you could not bear patiently. So, and then everyone goes his own way. And so Moses probably knows that, oh, there are some other inward things that he may not know, or he is not kind of committed or ordered or commanded by God to do those things. He is commanded by God to be a prophet of the outer world and the things that, works normally for people. And you know that Khizr is considered by most to be a prophet who is kept alive by God beyond the range of ordinary human life, even beyond the very long lifetime of certain ancient prophets such as Noah. But his vocation or his message is exclusively a secret and hidden one. in contrast to the vocation or message of the prophets, who are ordered by God to proclaim revelation publicly, give glad tidings, and issue warnings. So this is the prophet. This is the actually difference between Moses and Khizr. So as I mentioned again, one, uh, the story of Khizr is important and mentioned in the Quran and helps understanding some of the inner mysterious mystical way of to make it brief, it helps people to understand that there are another dimensions to things, which we saw some of them, and it's mentioned in the Quran, and there are some certain people that God gave them knowledge, and then they are probably able to do those things. Moses is important in the Quran. One there are similarities sometimes between Moses and Muhammad, as the prophet of both they have monotheism. The Tawhid is the message, of course. One thing, probably one of the similarities, is that Muhammad had to migrate from Mecca to Medina. Also, there was a huge exodus and migration from Egypt to Canaan by Moses and Israelite and the people of as children of Israel. So that's another thing. But there are also some another aspect to Judaism and yeah, not to Moses, but to Judah, to the followers of Judah, Moses in the Quran. We know that the community in which Muhammad was preaching Islam, especially sometimes in Mecca, but most also in Medina, there were communities, Jewish communities, were living there. Those Jewish communities, they were three Jewish communities. Historically, what happens between Muhammad and them is that, first of all, Muhammad first thinks that they are the most vulnerable people to accept Islam. But in fact, the reverse happens. Not only they are not going to accept Muhammad's message and Quran and Revelation, but also they are going to ally with the uh, polytheists of Mecca in their attacks to the Muslims. So this makes a negative memory of Jews among the Muslims. So those who betrayed them, because first of all, they had kind of contract or talks or negotiations that, okay, we are all live in a city which was Medina, and we are protecting each other. And if those people, polytheists of Mecca, try to attack us, we are one body in defending the city. Now, what happened historically is that some of those Jews were allied with the polytheists of Mecca in attacking Muslims. But what happened to them is that they were Muhammad, through God, as Quran puts it, was informed of their plans, and then after polytheists were defeated by Muslims, they revenged uh, those communities, or probably the story is that some of them were expelled from Medina, and the other ones. There is a very controversial account that uh, uh, one of the commanders of Muhammad's army said that we have to kill these people, but it by no means of understanding Quran, by no standard of Quran, it seems correct to me that you know let's kill these people, all of them together, because you may uh, according to Quran, if you have enmity with some people, you are not you're not supposed to go beyond justice in your revenge and response to those people. Now we do have accounts, historical accounts, which are some which we, according to some Islamic historians or scholars, are not reliable, but also they said about the one of those Jewish communities around Medina. But anyway, when Jews are not accompanying Muhammad and allying with those uh, people, Quran also talks about um, those people in a way that, you know what, uh, Jews are um, and there are Jews that through the through those glass, uh, later on Quran see Jew people, not the religion of Judaism, but Jews, and ascribes them to be to be hostile toward Muslims and to be extremely attendant and, attached to the earthly world and earthly life, to be materialistic in another way. And also there are some things that Quran talks when talk about the Jews. It says that, oh, remember that what you did to your prophets. Remember that what how you know how you worship a cow. Remember such and such things. So the language that at some point Quran uses in the Medinan um, um, chapters and the Medinan verse toward the Jews is in a way that, oh, you people, you are the one that you try to kill your prophets, for instance. You people, oh, you are the one who are, you know, much materialistic, and you love the earthly life. And also, you people, yes, God punished you by forcing you a certain amount of worships, which is hard sometimes for you. And those are kind of criticism that Quran uh, brings to in discussion to Jews. And then so foundation of the Jewish faith is Torah, and which Quran probably one of the idea among the Muslims was that uh, that Torah is abrogated by when Muhammad or the new prophet is coming. So there are lots going on when Judaism is discussed in the Quran, or when Moses discussed, or when the followers of Moses are talked about in the Quran. But generally, as a general rule, uh, Quran talks about communities of faith in a way that if they do follow the reality of their faith, then they are safe. And this is a general rule. But when you go to discuss something, it discusses, just tells them that, oh, you did so and so, or you did so and so. And that's kind of Quranic critics toward those people. Also, another aspect, in continuation of what we discussed about the prophets in the Quran, we reached to another point, which is the story of Yusuf, according to Quran, or Joseph, son of Jacob or Yaqub. The story of which is the story of who is kind of a single narration or narrative, and whole chapter dedicated to him. Now in Islamic tradition, there are some commentators are talking about in a way that probably idol worshippers of Mecca by, who was provoked by Jews of Medina were going to ask Muhammad to tell him about the details of the life of Joseph, because to see, to see whether he knows about those previous prophets or not. And then that's why the whole chapter is revealed. There are also another reasons for this, for the revelation of this chapter mentioned by Muslims commentators, like Tabari says that God revealed the story of Joseph to the prophet after his companion had asked him to provide them with the story. Now, the story is called in the Quran, as known among the Muslim as the most beautiful of the stories narrated in the Quran, or generally the most beautiful stories. And the way probably Quran also depicts it. And so the whole story begins with when Joseph, discloses a special dream that he saw to his father, and then his father Jacob or Yaqub, asked his son Joseph not to um, narrate his dream to his brothers. No, Joseph has, Jacob has, or Yaqub, in the Quranic uh, narration, he has 12 sons. One another important or famous son is called as well Benjamin or Benjamin, and so Benjamin and Joseph are kind of more close than the other all brother to each other. Now, a dream which reveals the importance of Yusuf, or the future of Yusuf as a prophet, and his father know that Joseph's brother may be jealous of him because of this position that he got. And then, in fact, the story tells us, the chapter tells us that he was not wrong in that kind of prediction of what may happen to Joseph. So yes, there are some stories. I mean, stories goes on that his brothers they tried to get rid of him. His father was trying to protect him, not letting those brothers taking Joseph with them, far away from father. But one day, brothers come to father saying that, "Oh, you don't trust us. He's our brother. We will take care of him, and let us go." And father, who is as again another prophet, says that I trust in God. I take refuge to God, and then okay, you take him, but be careful and bring him back. So they go and they make it like a plan. First of all, some of them they want to kill him, but another one tells them that no, don't do that. Uh, you know, do another thing. Leave him alone in a well, and then maybe some people of caravans they come and take him up, and then they take him with themselves. So with the idea that Joseph goes and never comes back because they take him as a slave. In fact, a caravan comes and takes Joseph as a slave. I mean, takes Joseph with themselves. He's a very beautiful son. I mean, he's a very handsome, extraordinary or exceptional physical beauty is with Joseph. So, but what happens? Joseph was taken. Uh, and went to the Egypt. They took him to Egypt. They sold him to you know the king of Egypt, and then he, as a child again, he grew up in the house court. And this is also similar to the story of Moses, who was grew up in the house court. And then finally, Joseph faces different tests by God. At one point, the wife of the king was trying to seduce Joseph to, be with her, and Joseph escapes that, and then they put him into jail, and then other women of the city are accusing the wife of the king that, she was fell in love with a slave, and then she tries to tell them that, well, this slave is not a normal like anyone else, but she provides a session, invites those women to come according to Quran. When they saw Jesus, they were trying to cut oranges with the, and then they didn't know that they're cutting their hands. So the beauty of Joseph, and then the wife of the king was called Zoleika, and then who was in kind of, she wanted to be with Joseph, but Joseph, no, according to Quran, takes refuge in God. But later in Islamic history is that, I mean, the narration goes like that Joseph, in fact, um, at the end of a story, they do God makes Zulaikha to understand the uh, spiritual beauty of Joseph, and to submit or to accept the mission of Joseph as a prophet and follow him. So, briefly speaking, the point is that in later periods, um, Joseph becomes a treasurer. Joseph later becomes a king of the Egypt. Brothers have to come back to him and ask him for help to, because Joseph, plans to escape the dry years, and so the end of the story is that Joseph is king. Brothers are coming back to him. Father come back to him. But if a father who was very very upset of not having Joseph with him, and then finally they find him, and then finally Joseph accept them, and then finally Joseph forgive his brothers, and the story goes on with this. Some sort of certain message of, the beauty of forgiveness, the beauty of learning from this story, and then the story was reflected in the story of Islam, in the history of Islamic civilization, in Islamic art, in Islamic literature. You do have a lot of narratives, you do have a lot of writings and books in which reflected upon the story of the Joseph as a prophet, and Joseph as a, what Joseph did. So you do have the love prophet. You do have also a philosopher like Shahabuddin Sohrawardi, who is written a philosophy called treatise on the reality of love based on in fact, the story of Joseph. And then also the love as a matter which probably in the case of Zuleika, which starts with a kind of material love, but it also ends in a spiritual love as well. So those kind of transformation, or transcending from one level to another level, transcending from material level to another, spiritual level, as well as important in the story of Joseph. Now, with this chapter, um, you know, um, as a whole chapter, as an specific one, uh, and also as an as Quran puts it, as ahsan al qisas, the best of the stories. Quran want to show that if it's gonna to tell you a narration, he tells you in one of the best manners in which one can read and learn, and um, um, benefit from it in his whole life. And certainly, the story of Joseph created a lot of inspiration in Islamic tradition and Islamic arts and literature. So I make this discussion about Joseph very brief because the chapter talks about itself. The chapter tells you and narrates the reader of what it is talking about. And hopefully, we are going for the next session talk about Jesus and the Quran. Thank you very much for being patient and being with me this in this session. Thank you very much. Have a good one.